Hello, and welcome to the Women's Cut. I'm Jay, that's Seaway. Let's get started. Uh Chicago, I don't know how the city is feeling today after that Bears loss, to be honest. I'm it's a hopeful feeling. It's like we're here, but it's also like we could have won that game.
Yeah, that game was, I think it was the best of times and the worst of times in one game. We literally saw one of the best passes I've ever seen, one of the best catches I've ever seen. I mean, ever, right? I mean, how many yards did he backpedal? Did Caleb backpedal to make that pass to send us into overtime? Unreal. But the interceptions, I think he had three. Being this close from goal like three or four times and then just being stopped, that game was nerve wracking. But I think Bears is the city. At the end of the day, we should be proud because the Bears gave us something to cheer for, and I think we gotta be okay with that.
I 100% agree. I think that if we want to be analysts, there's a lot to analyze. Um, if
For
Ben
sure.
Johnson would have kicked the field goal at the first opportunity after the first drop pass instead of going for it on fourth down, that
Yeah.
that Caleb Hail Mary would have been a game winning touchdown.
Hmm.
If DJ Moore would have ran his route, if he didn't give up on his route a little bit.
Yeah,
Sometimes
man, his route.
DJ Moore makes some of the most spectacular catches. He is a great route runner. It's just every now and again, I think mentally he checks out and he goes into muscle memory, and he's not necessarily going all out. I think that can be coached out. We have to remember this is DJ Moore's first postseason. This is his
Right.
first winning team in his entire career. Um, Caleb made mistakes. He doesn't mistake make this game and last game. He threw two interceptions last game. He threw three interceptions this game. He doesn't throw interceptions. He had a streak, one of the longest streaks in NFL history for somebody in their second season with not throwing a pick. So I think it's a combination of us arriving early to the party. Then people didn't think we were going to win more than 8 or 9 games this season. But all of that to be said, I'm proud of this team.
Hmm.
Caleb proved the haters wrong. Ben Johnson proved that he is one of the best offensive minds in the game of football right now. And I think that we have a squad. We fix this defense, perennial. We are every season.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think once you have the bones, if you build on it slowly, then you can really put together something that's lasting. I think it's kind of good that we didn't have just a pop out of nowhere season because that's how you pop up and then pop away. You know what I'm saying? So I'm actually happy that we surprised a lot of people and it didn't look accidental. And so what I'm hoping is we can build on this. And it's gonna be different next year because people gonna see us coming. We were able to sneak up on a lot of people this year. It won't be like that next year.
Once the
They know we
expectations
coming. They know it's bear down.
bear down, at the end of the day, bear down.
Yeah,
That's it.
period.
That's all. That's it. That's all.
Period.
Um, so let's get to the getting and hit the cutting room floor. As per usual, we're gonna talk a little bit about Unrivaled. It's Unrivaled season, and the season is seasoning, baby. I love this league.
I do
um,
too.
the parody, it's unmatched because it's something about being able to redraft. The same thing that like athletes unlimited does, where they're able to redraft, and your position means you can protect more players, but you can only protect two players. So
Hmm.
you can protect your two players if you made it into the playoffs. If you didn't, you can only protect one player. Everybody else is up for grabs. I absolutely love that, which is why I think the Breeze is going to do a little something, because all of them, they're not going to be on the same team no more. Them
Right.
kids won't be on the same team no more. How do you feel about it?
I'm just enjoying the fact that last season the Lunar Owls were literally, they whooped everybody the entire season until the end. Then they lost to the Rose, right? But the entire season they were like the top dog. I'm kind of liking that there's not one top dog this season. It looked like it was going to be the Rose in the beginning. Now they lost to the Hive, and then they just lost again. I believe that's to the Laces, and so the fact that a lot of the teams are catching L's early, I'm loving the parity. I think the way they split up these teams makes it so exciting. You don't know which day you're going to get what. There's great players on all the teams, and I'm just loving it. It's so even. It's so even. So now you're just getting basketball. Who wants it more that night?
No,
Who wants it more that night?
The other part of it is the Rose last season were terrible in the beginning.
You're right.
And then they started to click in the middle. And then after that 1v1, they were virtually unstoppable because they had that time to play together more. Obviously, the more you know your personnel, the better it is. And I think that the coaches also get better because there's so many, you can exploit so many mismatches when you're going 3v3 than you can really when you're in a 5-player game.
Right.
The thing about the Rose, though, is we already know Chelsea is a bucket, and I think that they are missing Angel a little bit with that double-double because she was giving them 15 and 10. And rebounds are important in every game, but rebounds are so much more important in Unrivaled when in the fourth quarter, it's a set amount of points.
Right.
If you don't have an Angel Reese grabbing every single rebound, when you trying to get that last 11 points, you're at a disadvantage. So somebody gonna have to step up from the Rose. I think Shakira can do it. I think she just got to get a little bit more consistent.
It's gritty, it has to be it's a really gritty game that, that 3-on-3. And so I do think Shakira has been a great addition. And offensively, I think she provides a lot. But losing Angel is never going to be easy. And so, I think a lot of people didn't even know what the Rose were going to look like. Then they came out firing on all cylinders. People have kind of, they're going to figure you out. Other people, they've caught some losses. But yeah, I definitely think they can do something. But what I do want to say is I have been rocking with the Hive. And since we were last here, people kept on saying, see where you tripping. You're tripping. This didn't age well. Since then, the Hive have beat the Rose. Now, they did lose again, but they beat the Rose. And I want to say the reason why I picked the Hive is because when you have Kelsey Mitchell on your team, I don't know. You 3-on-3 in any game, if it could come down to will, if it could come down to somebody who's going to will you to a win, Kelsey Mitchell is up there with someone who I think will you to a win. And so I don't really care what their seeding is. I would never count the Hive out. And then you got Rivers, who could do big defensive stops. Sonya is just beginning. That's still my team.
Kelsey is such a unique player in the sense that she can turn it on and off. If you need her to be a facilitator, she can be a straight facilitator. And if you need her to be a dog, she could be a dog. Now, I'm not saying that Chelsea can't do the same thing, but in the sense of help, Kelsey can turn it off and be like, oh, Sonya, you on? That's where we're going to. She could, and Sanaya is quickly becoming one of my favorite players in general.
She really is great.
Because she's a true stretch big. She's a true stretch big. If she's on from the 17 out, you're gonna have a hard day.
Yeah.
You have and it's very, again, you can't teach length, can't teach height, you can't teach size. And she is a very long player. And she's fast. The amount of blocks that she has right now is crazy.
I think the X factors though for the Hive is, and this is something I think that would be great. Ezzy is not, she's your shot blocker, but she's not your gritty get down in the post player. And I would love to see how gritty, how shifty Ezzy can get in Unrivaled, because she's the X factor. Ezzy and Natisha, We've seen it. Heidemann, one of the stud buds, is clutch. She's very clutch. I think there's a lot of clutch people on this team. And so I think if Ezzy can bang in the post with some of those posts that are going to be banging, I don't care what the Hives record are. They're a dangerous team. They're a really, really dangerous team. But moving on from Unrivaled, I don't know how you're feeling about the NCAA, but it's heating up. It's heating up. We saw a big loss today from Notre Dame, a big loss to UConn. It's kind of showing that there's levels to this, right? There's levels to this. And then we saw LSU continue to silence the haters that were all out, with their big takedown of Oklahoma. So I don't know how you're feeling, but I've been really, really excited to see LSU kind of bounce back from those 2 early hits to Vanderbilt in Texas, and then come out. And now this big win over Oklahoma. And Oklahoma came out swinging. They came out lighting them up. And the poise that I saw from Flau'jae, Mylasia, Jada, they were so poised to stay in that game. I was really impressed.
Absolutely. Oklahoma is one of my little sleepers too. I think Oklahoma gonna do some damage in the tournament, and it does depend on their seeding. Right now, they're at a 13. If they don't slide, they're gonna be in one of those close games. They're gonna be in one of the. I don't think they'll be in a 5-12, but they might get a 7 rank, and those teams that's ranked a 6-7, those are the ones that make a run in the tournament and make it very difficult for a lot of teams. So we're getting to the part of the season that you were talking about before, where we are a couple of months right before March Madness, and women's ball start picking up. What other games stood out to you this last week?
I mean, Vanderbilt is still doing their thing. There's been a lot of good games. I'm really enjoying the consistency of Iowa. What has really stood out though is that Iowa State is just taking loss after loss after loss. And I'm gonna chalk this up to the fact that maybe confidence it could become an issue. The fact that once one coach figures out a way to gameplay for you, in the day and age of technology and film, once one coach can figure it out, it's just a monkey see, monkey do. And so that may have a lot to do with it. And when you're so heavily reliant on one player, and if they can figure out a way to slow one player down, that's going to be a problem. Versus like in Vanderbilt, heavily relying on Blake's, but you can't stop her. So it doesn't matter if you gameplay, you're going to have to send 2. Just like with Steph, send 2.
You have to have another player. In college, different from any other game, you can go far with a system.
Right.
You can just have a cold ass system and a bunch of role players, and you can do your thing. The other side of that is you have to have 2 dogs. You can have one dog and win some games, but you got to have 2. Because the game plan is always going to be take out one, and somebody is going to have to pick up the slack. Who is that on Iowa State's team?
I mean, they would say it's Jada? What's her name? Right?
Inconsistent.
Yeah. But the bigger issue to me is not even offense. The biggest thing is not even offense. It's defense. And in college, defense is so important. You don't want to get into a bucket exchange contest. Not in college.
No.
Really not on any level. Defense is important.
And they can't play man.
No. They got to stay in zone.
I would like to see them try a man zone, because I do think that they have the speed at the guards to be able to play man at the top and a 3-layer zone at the bottom. And that way Audie won't necessarily be exposed. But I honestly think that right now the issue is coaching. Because again, if you don't have the personnel, you got to have the system. The system can fix your problems. But what are we doing? What are we doing as far as the system is concerned to fix those problems?
Yeah, and I think when you get exposed as a team of having a problem kind of late in the season, they're not getting a lot of practice time. They're on the road a lot. We're in conference play. And so they're going to have to maximize the time that they do have to kind of fix this before the tournament, because scouting is going to be key. There's people that is their entire job to scout out games. And once teams can figure you out, it's going to be a problem. And there's some teams where people probably thought they had it figured out with LSU, and it's very clear that they don't. Because, you know, I called out Kim on my channel for coaching. She needs to coach. And she's been coaching. She's been adjusting, and her star players have been adjusting. And that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah.
You gotta adjust and you gotta move.
We didn't really discuss this with Kim, but I was thinking about it after we had our conversation last week about how Dawn has a very organized system.
Yeah.
UConn has Gino has a very organized system. And I was thinking about what Kim's system is. And I think Kim is a very unique coach in the fact that she changes her system based on her talent.
Right.
The way she ran her team when she had Angel is not the same as she runs her team now that they're a more guard heavy team now.
Right.
Before they were a forward heavy team. And so she ran her system through those forwards. Because she had passing forwards, great passing forwards. Now she has great guards who are great passing guards, and she's running the system that way. It's really a study in coaching, like you said. This is LSU relies on Kim a lot.
Yeah.
Gino's system is so cold that if Gino wasn't there for a week, that team is still gonna be that team.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's why sometimes when you see these UConn players in the league, you know they played at UConn.
Yeah.
It's a stamp. You know they played at UConn. You know, not everybody has that. There's nothing that really makes you an LSU player. But I will say, I think if you can kind of make your way in Kim's system, I think your stamp should be is that you're a dog. And if you make it out, because that's the players that she loves. She loves people who got that dog in them and are going to figure out how to, make it in the toughest conference. And the SEC definitely is the toughest conference.
I miss when there were others. This isn't something we talked about, but I miss when there were others. Now there's one or two teams are going to get their wins in their conference, whatever. But now there's like one or two in each conference, and there's just not a lot of parity. I miss when the Big East was the Big East, to be honest. I went to Bradley. So we're in a mid-major conference. I miss when there were mid-major conferences and they beat up on each other and there was heavy competition. And then you knew what you were getting when you're coming into the tournament. The tournament is so up for grabs now. It's like the SEC and legit everybody else.
Right. Yeah, and it's capitalism. Capitalism has combined all these conferences. When you used to say the Big Ten country, that used to mean something. Now what does it mean? It means the Midwest. It means the West. It means whoever wants to pay to be in. I don't know, right? And so I do think after the SEC is the Big Ten given the most go, but that conference is so spread out, and then you have the other ones that are just not as competitive. I mean, you got the ACC. I mean, the interesting part is that because you have the SEC schools and then to some degree the Big Ten schools are going through such a gauntlet, it's hard to know how these other schools are going to match up until they really see each other. And it's good and bad, because then it's like with UConn, it's like we ain't really seeing them as much, but we don't need to see them. We know what they're going to do, right? Yeah. But when you have a TCU, yeah. I can't be moved yet because I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that goes back to our scheduling problem.
Because I need to see TCU play Texas. I need to see TCU play LSU and South Carolina. I need to see that.
The SEC doesn't have the same scheduling problem as the other ones do. The other ones are they need to, if I'm outside of the conference, if I'm outside of the SEC, if I'm outside of the ACC, I'll put the ACC in it. I need to schedule hard games. If I think my team is like that, if I think my coach is like that, I'm scheduling hard games, because the best way to get up out of there is to be in the conversation of who's going to be those number one seeds.
Right.
Because we already know UConn taking one, and we know that South Carolina taking one. We know LSU taking one.
Yeah.
So who's going to be the fourth? You got it. That's what we got to think about. Now, still stand on the NCAA vein. Some crazy news came out of NCAA men's basketball, which is this whole point shaming debacle. For those of you guys who don't know, an indictment came down from the federal government, and the feds generally don't miss. 39 players, 17 schools. A lot of them mid-majors. You have schools like DePaul, and a lot of them HBCUs. You have schools like Alabama State. And the main crux is kids without NIL deals. You have people who are preying on the folks who need it the most in order to make a quick dollar. And that kind of all goes back to our betting problem. Sports has a betting problem. And I, as somebody who loves a FanDuel, I love a parlay. We've expanded sports betting, and most states are allowing it with college students. So how do you fix that problem?
You don't. This problem is not going to be fixed. It's just going to be worse. It's going to get worse, because we have, beyond a sports betting problem, we have an unfettered capitalism problem in America and in many countries beyond. This is unfettered capitalism. This is late stage capitalism on steroids. And this conversation is to me so disingenuous when I hear the NBA talk about, what are we going to do about sports betting? There's sports betting ads at every arena, on the floor, some of it on the jerseys, right? At least in the NBA, the players have so much to lose for the most part, because we have the Terry Roziers and everyone that's now caught up in this mess as well. But the players, for the most part, have so much to lose that the juice is not worth the squeeze. But even now that NIL is in college, it is still not enough to offset the kind of desire to get after this money. And I just feel like at the end of the day, these are kids. Their frontal lobe is not fully developed. And there's people who are preying on their inability to see long term, their inability to see, kind of their plans and what they're working towards, and kids who are easily distracted. I know we're pushing this thing, okay, they're professionals now, or quasi-professionals, because they get NIL. They're still college students. They're not going to make the best decisions. And this amount of money, whether it's sports betting or even the fact that NIL has not really been fully worked out, is dangerous. It's dangerous. And I think it's just another way to catch up people who are either lower income, who don't have the guidance, who don't have the structure and the team around them. Same thing how, they threw all that PPP money around. They knew who was going to get caught up in that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things come back to systematic oppression, and that is a conversation for another time. My thing is, I feel like what a lot of people are saying now is all these kids are 25. Everybody is 23, 24. They should know better. Just like you said, that frontal lobe don't develop until you about 25, 26. The amount of people who are like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Think about all the dumb shit y'all did in high school and in college. And you should thank whoever you pray to that you are still walking amongst us. Right. Because the amount of things that we did, there was no social media. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. When I was younger, there was no social media. There was no NIL deals. There was nobody texting you or DMing you and saying, hey, I know your mother is struggling. Here's 30 grand for you to miss 3 shots in the next game.
Exactly.
Come on. It's like giving, it's like taking candy from a baby at this point. And I don't know, like you said, I don't know how you fix that, um, other than to protect them more. But the NCAA is not in the protecting. They're not in the protecting industry. They say
Nope.
that they are here to protect those kids, but they're not. They're here to protect the interests of the people who are making money. And that's kind of what it is at the end of the day. We're going to talk a little bit about our leading ladies. Um,
Okay.
since it's new, I'm gonna let y'all know a little bit more about this. Our leading ladies are women in sports, any industry, who we are personally inspired by. We're going to kick it off with C, and she is going to go with who her leading lady is.
So my leading lady is Simone Manuel. So, and if you don't know who Simone Manuel is, I am going to let you know. She was the first Black woman ever to get an individual gold medal. Okay, she in swimming, she got a gold medal in the 100-meter freestyle in 2016, and so that is really really impressive. And as a person who grew up swimming, I swam. I was a 3-sport athlete in swimming. It was one of those sports. There wasn't a lot of women to look up to that looked like me, and so to see her get that gold medal and continue to swim. She also swam in the 2020 Olympics and won. And in the 2024, she had a comeback year after suffering from something that's called overtraining, which I didn't really even know was a thing. But, sometimes you do too much and your body is like, no, right? And so Simone Manuel was really inspiring, but also not only she's still swimming, right? And I hope that she's working towards the Olympics in LA as well. She's still swimming, still doing well. She also took time to be one of the co-founders of Together. And if you don't know what Together is, it is an amazing organization founded by multiple women, Sue Bird, other women, that actually promotes women's sports, all sports, basketball, volleyball, track, swimming, tennis, right? And so the fact that she's also a co-founder there, she's just inspiring. She's an inspiring Black woman, Olympic gold medalist, in a sport that actually so many people who look like her, who look like myself, who look like Jay, are underrepresented. And so she's inspiring me. She's my leading lady.
I love that. I feel like every time we have somebody who is on the Olympic stage. So last week we were talking about Layla Edwards, and whenever we have somebody who's on the Olympic stage, we start to see more.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing that happened with Venus and Serena. We just start to see more, and I love that. I love the idea that somebody is watching her and watching her lead, and then showing that to their kids, and then kids are like, I too want to do that, and I just think that's incredibly dope. Because I live my life in a completely unserious manner. So my leading lady is a kid who went absolutely viral. The reason why it went viral is because, first of all, we have kids playing hockey. We see this kid getting absolutely demolished. And then what happens is his sister comes over, not his brother, not his sister, but comes in and jumps on the dog pile. And let me tell you, as an older sibling, I absolutely look at that, laying them out, single punches, punches for everybody. As an older sister, personally, I absolutely love having somebody represent what it's like to be an older sister. I terrorized my younger siblings because younger siblings are annoying. Anybody who is an older sibling knows that younger siblings can be very annoying, but only I have the ability to do that. Can't nobody touch my sister or my brother. Can't nobody say nothing about my sister or my brother. I don't care if they're wrong because I'm coming behind them. I don't care if they started the fight. I'm about to finish it. So I appreciate the Hogan sister, the older Hogan sibling, whoever she is. You are my leading lady this week because as an older sister, I understand. Heavy is the crown, you know, Heavy is the crown of an older sibling. So I 100% appreciate her for who she is. Don't know you, little sis, but you got it for me.
I love that. But I got a question. How do they do sportsmanship in hockey? If we
Girl,
can throw hands and we can throw balls, like what is the talk like before the game? Like everybody do what? Since we can throw hands, feet, and hockey pucks.
I have 100% a theory that if you let everybody fight in all the sports, it would just be so much better. If you let them fight, just let them get their blows in. And then after a time, so the one thing people don't understand about hockey fights is that there is sportsmanship in it. So y'all can trade whatever. And then once you see that the other person has clearly lost or they're injured or anything, you pretend to throw a punch real slow, and that's when the refs know to come and jump in. So they're watching how these punches are getting thrown, and then once somebody wins or once it goes to the ground, that's when they're like, okay, we need to break this up. So the
Okay.
only issue with letting dudes like duke it out in like basketball is them men get emotional. So I don't know if
And
you.
there's no equipment. Yeah, I don't know if you want people throwing hands and feet in basketball. I do wish they would allow a little bit more, like a push, like people be ready to kick you out, eject you for a push. Sometimes
Yeah,
you got to get that little push off and move forward and go about your day or go about the game.
you do.
But
I would be a fan of slapping. If you could just slap the shit out of somebody, I don't know if it's gonna fly, but
I don't know. We got to be careful what we asking for.
true, 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 true. All right, so we're from Chicago, and oh, before I go and set that up, our next segment, our next segment, run it back. So we're gonna be talking a little bit more about um basketball,
Okay.
not fighting, but general basketball. We're from Chicago, and a very important day is upon us. Now, we talked a little bit bad about the Bulls, but we're not going to talk about bad about Derrick Rose ever. Not, not,
Never.
not here. Um,
No.
we're coming up on Derrick Rose Day,
January 24th.
January 24th. Um, that jersey about to be all up in the rafters. And we're going to talk a little bit about Derrick Rose's legacy. Now, as a lifelong Chicagoan, um, I was in school, I was in college when Derrick Rose was playing high school ball. And we used to volunteer. I went to school at Bradley, that's downstate Illinois. For those of you guys who are not from Illinois, the IHSA state championship is in Peoria, Illinois, at the Peoria Civic Center. We used to volunteer there. So I was able to watch his high school championship games. Derrick Rose was a different animal when he was in high school. He was a different animal when he was in college. When he got to the league, unmatched.
Unmatched. Yeah, I think we all have our stories. I was in high school and I went to Oak Park and we had a really good squad. Actually, we had Iman who was on our team, Iman Strumpert. When I was at Oak Park, he went to Oak Park, and actually we were eliminated by Derrick Rose and Simeon. And so our it sucks when you got to go through Derrick Rose and Simeon to get downstate. You're not going downstate, baby, at all. You're not going anywhere when you had to go through Derrick Rose. So I mean, everybody poured in to watch that game to see Derrick Rose play for Simeon, and what a time to be in high school in Chicago. What a time to love basketball. I mean, it was crazy.
The way that Derrick was to the city, he still gives back a lot to the point where he moved back with his son because he wanted his son to have that Chicago experience of playing basketball and living in the city of Chicago like he did. He came from a very strong family where his brothers protected him. A lot of people don't, again, if you're not from Chicago, you don't know who Benji is. Benji was a superstar who was supposed to go to DePaul, who played for Simeon, who was uh, he was the Derrick Rose before Derrick Rose. And unfortunately, due to what was going on in the community at that time, he was a victim of gang violence. His family wanted to make sure that he did not have that same type of legacy. And I honestly think that is really, really cool that his family was able to protect him and that he was able to build this relationship with the Bulls. And I feel like the Bulls are such a difficult organization to build these lifelong relationships with. So I honestly think that that's another part of his legacy and the type of person he was, that he was really hurt when he got traded. Mm-hmm. And he still was able to rectify that and come back home and build this relationship with the organization.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't let other people's decisions stand in between your legacy. And I'm glad that he was able to put that aside so he gets his flowers and his just due, because it was well deserved. But honestly, to be fair, the Bulls can't milk the Jordan era any longer. And so Derrick Rose is really all they got left. And so I'm sure it's a mutual relationship.
You gonna circle back to that? You gonna circle back to that Bull slander, baby?
I mean, after this, we had a big celebration for the announcement of the jersey retirement, which I was there for. Amazing, beautiful, right? And then now we're having a huge celebration for the actual jersey retirement. There's nothing left. At next, we're gonna have to.
We don't get a statue.
I'm gonna be absolutely done if that is the next thing that we come here for. We're gonna have to do something within the next 10 years or the last 10. Like, we have to do something. What are we coming back for now? DeMar DeRozan?
There is literally no one to come back for, but you know that Derrick Rose is gonna get a statue.
That's fine. But we're gonna have Derrick Rose gave so much, and I'm glad that he's getting his just due, but it's like the Bulls are going to have to move into this century. We're going to have to move into this decade. We're going to have to do something. I guess this century is fine. But yeah, this decade, we're going to have to do something.
The only thing I have is this hat. That's all I can give you. That's all I can give you.
What is that?
This is the I keep saying this, is that I be done with the White Sox and then Nike gives us dope ass jerseys.
That's a White Sox. I'm gonna say, what is that?
This is the White Sox Bulls Connect hat. We have what's called the City Connect. And they made a Bulls jersey, which was a White Sox jersey. The jersey is cold, the hat is cold, everything is cold except for the teams.
That's why we're bearing down at this point. That's why we're bearing down, because I don't even know what you're talking about. Neither one of those.
All I got is this hat. That's all I got.
Look, and I don't even have that.
all we got is the Bears right now. Thank God for the Bears. I like the fact that at least one team don't disappoint us. That's the only good part about being in a major city like Chicago, is you're gonna have at least one team. Like, even when all of the other teams sucked, here came Loyola. Loyola was like, we got y'all for 3 seasons. We got y'all. For the rest of these teams to figure it out. Loyola came and did their thing. DePaul women's basketball was like, we're gonna make the tournament every year. And
they've been pretty good.
So we're gonna stay a little bit on basketball while we get with our signature segment, which is In the Cut, where we have some uncomfortable conversations. See, I know there was something you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so one of my faves, Natasha Cloud, was on the Be Great Academy podcast, and they were kind of talking about the WNBA lockout. That, it's not a lockout now. There's a moratorium, but the potential of what the W would do, what the players would do in if a lockout happens, and it's uncomfortable because she said something that, look, I'm rocking with, but I think was jarring for a few. So
it is, if for some reason that there was a lockout and the season didn't come back.
I feel like I can't say that there is or there isn't, because I'm not 100% sure, but I know Unrivaled is prepared in so many different instances. And the biggest one being that we own the space that we play in.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to stay here year round as the players of Unrivaled, with equity in this league and with space, financial money, all that stuff, we could stay here, train, play, put on another season if need be. So that's a beautiful thing, and that's why I'm so appreciative to be a part of a league like Unrivaled. And you know, even people out there, I know it's a touchy topic of like Project B, but at the same time, I'm so happy these entities are coming out here, because now you have to move because there are challengers to you. You are not the sole entity of the best basketball players in the entire world anymore. Yeah. There are other leagues out there that want to compete with you. And are you going to stand on business or are you not?
Yeah.
Jay, people don't like that. People don't like that. They don't like that. But I like that.
Are you gonna stand on business, or are you is or is you ain't? I'm not mad at it. If you believe in your product, if you believe in your product, if you believe in your players, what else is there? You don't have you can't have scabs in the WNBA, because yes, there are players that aren't playing. But the product, understand that if you bring in those players, we say it all the time. Yeah, there are probably 5 to 6 players, honestly, who don't get tick in the W, who could play if you needed to, I guess, fill out these rosters. If we had some scab rosters, that product's not going to be good.
No. And so I think Cloud is hitting on some important facts. Number one, you can never forget who the product is, right? And the product is the players. And I think that has continued to be lost in this conversation. It seems like with the WNBA negotiations, everything is coming before the players, the bottom line, the team owners, the NBA, right? Everybody before the players. And I'm really happy that Cloud said, look, not only do we have Unrivaled, that they own the space, they own the building. If they want to play year round, I'm pretty sure they've had that conversation with TNT, True TV, other networks, where they can continue to play for another season while they're filling that gap in the summer. And I'm also glad that she touched on Project B, because I think a lot of people think that Project B and Unrivaled are at odds, and to some degree they are. But they're moving to the same purpose, is the fact that both of these leagues have the ability to pay these WNBA players if the W continues to act like they don't understand what's going on. And the W, even before Project B and Unrivaled, the best players, the players that really could stand on business, have always had options overseas. But now they have options to go play in dope countries with Project B, stay at home in Miami and play 3-on-3. There's a lot of options. And so some people say this is uncomfortable. Why do they act like they don't need the W? It's because they're saying they don't. They don't. They would like you, but they don't need you. They're saying they want you, but they don't need you. And they definitely don't need to be used and abused, right? So what's wrong with that?
I also think that people confuse it with the NBA. This situation wouldn't fly in the NBA because those players make millions of dollars. So they're missing out on millions of dollars. These players ain't missing out on millions of dollars. What Angel say? What I'm making a season don't pay my rent. Because that's not there. They have to supplement. The only thing they get supplemented is housing. They have to get to there. They have to get back. They have to get their stuff there. They have to get their stuff back. And given $70,000 is great. It's a great yearly salary for any individual. That's a great yearly salary. That is not what the precedent is for sports. It just isn't. So this is not a millionaire missing out on millions, because if I have a millionaire salary and I'm living like a millionaire and I'm missing my checks, that's definitely going to help me. But if I am a regular person and I already got to have a second stream of income, I already got to work somewhere else, I already have to do all of these other things in order to play in this league, I'm not missing my other checks by not being here.
Right.
But you know, as someone, my mom is a CPA, and I understand what the W is to the NBA. It's a write-off. All of these losses.
Can you wake that up?
It's a write-off. The NBA benefits from the WNBA not being profitable.
Can we wake that
up? And now that it is becoming profitable, it is no longer in the NBA's best interest to undermarket the product. Because now I can't use this as a write-off because I have teams that are being evaluated at $500 million. I have the New York Liberty now. I have the Las Vegas Aces now. So now I can't write this product out. So now that I see that I need to be able to make some money, now I want to pull it back so that I'm making the maximum profit. And what did we talk about earlier? What did you say earlier about capitalism?
It's the root of all evil.
So it's like, yo, you think that these women that you already got an arbitrary rule that said they can't even come into the league until they 22? 4 years to 22? So you made them go and get a college education because they don't get the same unless they might be at LSU and they might be at a SC. You know what I'm saying? But if they're going to DePaul, they can't miss no classes. They have Vanderbilt. They got to be at every class. You made them get a college education, and now you're mad that they understand what's happening. Come on now. Come on, Kathy. Get it together, Kathy.
We ain't even got to add more to it. Long as you understand, Jay, I hope they understand. This has never been charity for the NBA. It's never charity in America. It's never charity.
Come on. Anybody who owns a business,
they understand that, but a lot of people who are opining have never owned anything, let alone a business of this magnitude, right? And so they don't really understand the relationship between the NBA and the WNBA, and that's by design. What is being put out is the WNBA wasn't profitable. The NBA was, the fairy godmother, and they were saving Cinderella WNBA, and now the WNBA got their bag, and now they're ungrateful. That is the story that's being put out, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. So I'm glad that the players like Cloud are letting you know y'all gonna fold before we do. And that's all I hear this. Y'all are gonna fold before we do. And the fans are standing with them.
I mean, that's fair. And the other part of this is they signed that daggone TV deal. Y'all about to miss out on so much money by being ignorant. Just give them, they're not even asking for money because what they're asking for next season is actually less than what you would be giving them with this whole $1 million situation. Because they understand what happens in 5 years.
What about those new teams who pay $250 million, $200 million to join? You think they're gonna sit quiet?
I mean,
the WNBA players, they don't need to do nothing. They don't need to do nothing but play their butts off at Unrivaled and Athletes Unlimited, show us they fits, and enjoy their time off.
So let's have a little debate. We want you to pick your side, please. And the question is, let's roll back to my Chicago Bears. Was this Bears loss good? Was the Bears' loss good? I don't know if it was. Windows in the NFL are so small. Windows in the NFL, unless you, for some reason, are God's favorite in the New England Patriots. I don't even know why the New England Patriots is his favorite. They were bad for like 4 seasons, and then all of a sudden now they're great again. I don't know. Listen, Arthur Kraft got it down. Unless you're them, the window is so small, and the Bears have not. We've had flashes of being good. Lovie Smith, come on. The Lovie Smith era was the only coach that we had who won more than he lost. Right? He won more than he lost. Appreciated that. Then we had a false hope in Nagy, who just got a second coaching opportunity. We had a false hope in Nagy. You know what I'm saying? He didn't win his playoff game, went to the playoff once, then fell off. Ben Johnson's not that coach. Ben Johnson, we've seen what happens when Ben Johnson left the Lions. They lost it. Now, they might be able to get it back, but they lost it. Ben Johnson is the truth. And I think that if you could win now, you win now. I know you think a little bit differently about it, but I think if you could win now, you win now.
And look, I'm new to diving deep into football, but what I do know is that you cannot rush timelines. And in my opinion, I know that Caleb Williams is the truth. This is his second year. Correct me if I'm wrong. He just finished his second year. And what we're seeing from him is superstar level ability. But the little kinks that we have to work out is just what you have with new quarterbacks and newer players. I think not speeding up the timeline and kind of working through what we saw in this season prepares us for a dynasty. If everything else goes as planned, we have to continue to grow together, get the right pieces, and not fall off. But I think this game was really good to see what we needed to work on and also gave the city some hope. And so I would hate for us to flash too soon and then we think, if we would have went to the Super Bowl, maybe they would think we didn't need to change anything. Maybe they would think that we had everything that we need. I don't think we have everything that we need, but I do think what we do have is heart. And that's the start. The amount of games that the Bears have come back from when everyone counted them out is literally insane. Even getting to that overtime, getting to overtime this last game against the Rams was crazy. But what I want to work out is all the things in between that got us into these positions, got us into these late stage games, the breakdowns that we had. I think if we were able to work out that, then why couldn't we be a Super Bowl team for years to come? That's just my thought.
I agree with that. I just think that Ben Johnson is the type of coach that regardless of if you're good, he would want to be better. He reminds me of Belichick in that particular instance. Like Belichick was always working and always tinkering, and he always wanted to be better. If he beat you by 10 points, he was disappointed that he didn't beat you by 20. And I think that that's the mentality that Ben Johnson has. He also has the mentality of belief. And I also like the fact that he leans into one thing I will agree with you on is I believe that we are building what will be a dynasty here. We're not giving a North back. I'm not a believer in Jordan Love. I know everybody likes to talk about he's good, all this other good stuff. He is a good quarterback, but I don't think he's a great quarterback. I've never watched a Jordan Love game and been like, oh my God, no one else can do this. Mm-hmm. And that's what you need in order to be a great quarterback. Now, you don't need a great quarterback to win the Super Bowl. You can just have a good one. That's the Giants won 2 Super Bowls with a good quarterback in Eli Manning. You don't need a great quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that there are certain things that we have that other teams don't have. The only team that gives us an issue right now is the Lions, but I feel like the Bears and the Lions always play each other really tough, regardless of who is good and who is bad. That's always been the I know our biggest rival is the Packers, but Detroit has always played us, even when they suck, they played us cold. And I just feel like I know what you're saying, and you could always improve, but I just wish there's certain things that would have went right here. Now, given Seattle is a completely different beast, but I'd like to have seen that game.
I think that would have been a better game for us. But I do have a question. I know this is not on topic directly, but what did you feel about our running back situation? Because that it seemed like this was the game with the Rams has been a great game to run, and we were trying to run, but it didn't look like it was going well.
the one we had Ozzy Trapillo went down at the and he tore his Achilles last game. So we had a guy who had only taken like 4 snaps all season starting in that game. So I think that has something to do with it, and I don't think they trusted him. So even though I cannot stand Chris Collinsworth, during the game he made a point that they were running only to one side, and that was the side that they trusted, and which was off of right. And they were not switching up the runs, and they weren't doing outside runs. They were doing more so inside runs. And then when they would go through those outside lanes, that's where they were finding a little bit of maneuverability. We also have to remember that the Rams have a good defensive front. They have a really
great defense. Yeah.
So our inability to run might not have just been us. It could have just been the defense that they were playing. And and I think that's also the reason why Caleb felt like he needed to be Superman when he really could have just been Clark Kent. He could have checked down. He could have done all those things. All we needed was a field goal. These are all things that, I'm sure other talking heads are discussing. But we're the only team in the league that had 2 running backs at 750 plus yards. That tandem is going to be a problem next year, especially when you realize now, given that Achilles injury with the timing of it,
that takes a year.
It does. So we gonna have to probably draft another offensive lineman, which we needed to do anyway. Depth is important in offensive line. But you're going to have majority of them coming back to block together for a second season. And that's what got the Eagles where they needed to go.
And that's what I want to see. I was just seeing a little bit. I'm like, it doesn't, when you're not, when you're new to football, but I'm a sports girl through and through. I was looking at it and I'm like, we're forcing it. Our runs, we're not getting anywhere. We're not creating space. We're not going anywhere. I'm like, I don't know, but they're going to have to figure this out for next season. And I also want to see if, Caleb, who never runs, when he finally did, I mean, it was good. And so,
I think that he's going to have to find a balance because he had to run for his life a lot last season. And I think that he liked the safety of being able to be in that pocket and be able to look downfield. Because the good players, good quarterbacks scramble to throw instead of scramble to scramble.
To run, yeah.
So he did a really good job, but I wish that he would pick his spots a little bit more because we only see cardiac Caleb scrambling. Iceman scrambles. Mm-hmm. Earlier in the game, he's not going to do that, and he kind of waits for the game to come to him, and he's a notorious slow starter ever since he was in high school. His second half numbers are always better than his first half numbers.
And that's because when you meet a team that's going to do it to you, you're not going to always be able to cardiac Caleb out of every game. But that's his growth. That's why I say it's too, and that's why I go back to, I don't think this was our year. As much as we wanted it to be, there's still some things where I felt like it would have been even more heartbreaking if we went to the championship before the Super Bowl and we lost there versus, now we know, hey, okay, we know what we got to do. We know who we got to draft. We know what we got to work on. And the city is still proud of you, Bears. So, I mean, I'm proud of them.
Proud. I was in love with the storyline, though. 40 years later, I honestly think that New England is going run that table now that Houston is down. It was going to be between New England and Houston. Houston is down, and the Bills are out. I don't see anybody going. I think New England is going right back to that Super Bowl, and Super Bowl in 1985 was New England versus Bears. I just liked the storyline. I was in love with the storyline. So I really wanted that to happen. Obviously it didn't, but we'll get them next year.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, look, this is a good show, friend.
I agree. And if there's something else that you want us to talk about, you guys make sure you leave them in the comments, okay? We want y'all to get busy in the comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about, what you want us to cover. We cover sports in Chicago, women in sports, and we may just add in some other topics that are on our heart too, okay? I was gonna add in a few, but I was like, they ain't gonna know what I was talking about. So
hey, look, listen, we slid a little politics in there just a little bit.
yes. Yeah. So we hope you guys enjoyed the show. Okay.
Absolutely. I'm gonna shout out my country cousins in Minnesota because they holding it down right now. They holding it down Chicago style up there. So I'm shouting y'all out, homies.
Yes. All right. And so don't be mad at us about anything that we said. Just be happy that you made the cut. Bye.